Hi friends, Miss Jessica here with you again today. I'm so excited to be here. So what I need you to get out for today is your book, your alphabet strip, and something to write with, and get a piece of paper. You can use the same paper you used yesterday, or you can get a new piece. It doesn't matter. We don't need a whole lot of space on it. But you need something to write on. Okay? Okay, so our story today is about a man who has a farm and grows crops. He also has beef cattle. Now you might be wondering, what in the world is beef cattle? Well, farmers have two different types of cattle. They have beef or dairy. So they raise cattle to butcher them for meat, so we can have meat, or they raise cattle to milk them so we can have milk and cheese and I was going to say eggs, but that's not right. Milk, anything dairy that is made from milk comes from cows. So this farmer has beef cattle. And we're going to find out that he needs bees to take pollen from one flower to another to make his crops grow. Okay? Who has been to a farm? I have too. I actually used to live on a farm, if you can believe that. It was a very long time ago. But we had cows and horses and big boars, which are really big pigs, and annoying grasshoppers that would jump on me when I was riding my bike through the farm. So it was a lot of fun. We didn't grow crops though. Okay, who has picked produce from a farm? Like fruits or veggies, even if it might be a little garden you have at your house or your apartment and the little boxes for the window. I got to pick strawberries a few years ago with some friends in Kansas City, and that was so much fun. We went to a farm and we got to pick all the strawberries that we wanted. You know, I love strawberries, so we got a lot. Okay, so today we're going to do our compound words again, where I'm going to give you the word, and then you get to tell me what two words make up that word, okay? Some of these might be the same as what we did yesterday, all right? All right, so the first word is bluebird. Repeat. Great, what two words make up bluebird? Blue and bird, fantastic. Okay, what about downgrade? Repeat. What two words make up downgrade? Down and grade. Great job. Okay, we're going to do a couple others. How about backbone? Backbone. Back and bone. Great. I'm so proud of you guys. You're doing such a good job. All right, we're going to do one more. Ready? Pitchfork. Pitchfork, yeah. Pitch and fork. Great job. Okay. So remember how yesterday I gave you a word and you had to take out a compound word and you had to take out a sound? We're going to do that again today. This one was a little more challenging, remember? Okay, so you know what? Let me make sure we did that yesterday, because if not, I want to make sure that I give you all the instructions we need. I might be thinking that we did. Oh no, we did. Okay. I just wanted to double check. I don't have the best memory sometimes. That happens as you get older. Okay. So the first word we're going to do is backyard. Repeat. Good. Now say it without the yard. Back. Great job. Okay, now let's look at rainbow. Great. Now say it without the rain. Bow, fantastic. Okay, let's look at seashore. Great, okay. Now say it without the shore. Sea, fantastic. Last one, are you ready? Let's do mailbox. Great, now say it without the mail. Box, fantastic, high five, you're doing an awesome job. Okay, go ahead and get this out and put it in front of you. We're going to do our review like we do every single day. Are you ready? Okay, my beforehand is my left hand. My afterhand is my right hand. A is the first letter, and the last letter is Z. Great job. What are my middle letters? M and N. Fantastic. Now my beforehand goes on my A. Where does my afterhand go? On my N. Now what are we going to do? Touch and name our letters. Go for it. Tag. Great job. Okay. How many letters are in the alphabet? 26. How many kinds of letters do I have? 2 kinds of letters, and they are what? Vowels and consonants. What are my vowels? A, E, I, O, and U. Good job. All right, now you can put that to the side. Okay, remember yesterday we practiced putting some words into alphabetical order with those little green cards? Today, we're going to practice putting words in alphabetical order again, and I have little yellow cards. Now, I'll tell you now, they blend in with my table a little bit. The cards do, but you can still see the words. Okay, so let me share my screen so you can see them. See how they kind of blend in and are the same color as my table. All right. We put all of our cards on the left-hand side. Go ahead and grab your pencil or pen and your piece of paper. And I want you to write these 5 words on your piece of paper. I will say them and spell them like I did yesterday, so you don't have to keep looking up and down because I know how hard that can be. Okay, are you ready for your first word? Okay, the first word is fling. F-L-I-N-G. Fling. F-L-I-N-G. Okay, our next word is torment. T-O-R-M-E-N-T. Torment. Okay, our next word is wretch. W-R-E-T-C-H. Wretch. W-R-E-T-C-H. Okay, the next one is rude. R-U-D-E. Rude. R-U-D-E. And the last word is crash. C-R-A-S-H. Crash. C-R-A-S-H. Okay, I'll give you just a second to check those and make sure you have them all written down. All right, we're going to review how we do this. What do we look at? The first letter. Is the first letter of all of my words different? Yep, I have different first letters. So who remembers what that is called? The guide letter. That guides us to know what order to put things in. Okay, so the guide letter is the first letter that's different. Using my left hand, I'm going to go down the words, touching each letter as it comes in the alphabet, okay? All you're going to do again today is recite the alphabet. Are you ready? A, back up. If you see that letter in the first position in that guide letter spot, I need you to say, there it is, so we know to stop, okay? All right, so the first letter in the alphabet is A. So A, what comes next? B, what comes next? C. Good job, there is a C. So what do you do on your list? You might not be able to see that, but that's okay, it's the same words. So you're going to cross it out on your list and move it over here. I am going to move our card to the left. Okay, what's the next letter of the alphabet after C? D, E, F. F, we have an F, good job. So cross it out and write it right under crash. And I'm going to move our card. All right, what comes after F? G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. Oh, yay, there's an R. So let's cross it out over here. Move it over here. And I'm going to move our card. All right, what comes after R? S, T. There's a T. Cross it out. Move it over. What comes after T? U, V, W. Cross it out. And move it over. So you should have your words in that order right there. What I want you to do is go ahead and put your paper and pen away, or paper and pencil, whatever you wrote with. I am going to get out of my camera here. Get out of this, the one that shows my table. All right. Now we are going to go to our reading deck. We are actually going to review our reading deck first because the one that we're doing today, the one that we're learning, is really different and special. And so I just want to make sure we get a few times of practice with it at the end, okay? All right, are you ready to go? I think you are. I'm going to say the letter sounds after every card, but I'm not going to say the whole card, just the letter sound. You ready? Good job. D. Makes your lips tickle, doesn't it? Digraph NG. Ng. Digraph CK. K. Eh. Digraph TH. That's the quiet one, that's the unvoiced one. Digraph TH. That's the voiced one. It makes everything all tingly. I don't like the way it makes my mouth feel. Digraph EE. E. O. E. Ooh. Good job. J. Digraph EE. E. W. Ah. K. Yeah. Ah. S. B. G. K. Okay. Let me put these away. Okay, now, today we're going to recognize another group of letters of the alphabet and its most common sound, okay? I'm going to say some words and I want you to echo them after I say them. And then I'll tell you our instruction. So the first word is stumble. Repeat. Ramble. And thimble. Great. Now, what is the same in the final position of all those words? What's the final position mean? The end. So what's the same at the end of all those words? Stumble, ramble, thimble. Bull. There is an M in there too. Bull, huh? But we're just going to look at bull. How many syllables do you hear in stumble? Stumble. How about ramble? Ramble. How about thimble? Thimble. Good. There's 2 syllables in every word. What sound is a syllable in all of those words? Bull. That's right. Okay. I'm going to show you these 3 words that we just said. And I want you to tell me how the ending is spelled. How's that bull part spelled? B-L-E, that's right. Let me grab my marker. That bull is spelled B-L-E. in every single word. What position is it in? Beginning, middle, end. The end of the word, yes. So it is the final position. Is it a syllable? Yeah. Stum, bull, ram, bull, them, bull. When something is always the same, we say it is stable. Stable means it's not going to change. Stable means you can count on it, okay? So we're going to put it all together, and this BLE is a final stable syllable. So it's the final syllable, and it's stable, which means it won't change. It's not a suffix. And what did we learn? What have we learned about suffixes? They come at the end of the word. So it's not a suffix. So we're not going to have, oh, I have a suffix right here. So like in our suffix ing, we have this dash. We're not going to have this with that. We're not going to have that dash with the BLE because it's not a suffix. It is a final syllable, okay? So we have this bracket because it says this is going to be the end. That's what that bracket means, okay? Stable syllable. So when we see this card, what's the picture? Can you tell? Bubbles. Yeah, I love bubbles. So when we look at this card, we're going to say bubble, final syllable, BLE. That's a lot, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to break it up and you're going to repeat. Are you ready? Bubble. Good job. Final syllable. Great. BLE. All right, you ready to put it all together? Okay, bubble, final syllable, BLE. Repeat. Great job. Okay, now you get to be the teacher and I want you to say it and I'm going to repeat it. Are you ready? Okay. Bubble, final syllable, BLE. Great. High five. That one's a little hard. We're going to put it in our deck and look at it tomorrow, okay? All right. You ready for our sight words? Okay, we have 4 new ones. So this is going to put us at 56 words. Oh my goodness, you guys are just getting so smart with all of these sight words that we keep adding. Okay. I'll read it. I want you to repeat it. Are you ready? Okay. Called. Well, I can't get them apart. There we go. Oil. Long. Down. Great. All right, now you get to say them and I'm going to repeat. Called. Oil. Long. Down. Great. All right, we're going to mix them in and go over all 56 sight words. How crazy is that? I cannot believe that you guys know that many. All right, you ready? Loosen up those muscles, move your head around a little bit. This is going to be a long exercise. All right, let's go. This. Doing great. The or the, either one's fine. Ben. Were, great job. And there's where. Does, these, goes, either or either, yep. You're almost done. You're doing such a great job. Of, last one. Great. So good that we stretched out a little bit before we did that. I told you it was going to be a lot. But you guys are smart and I knew you could handle it. Jessica's getting a little warm. Okay. Now go ahead and pull out your book. Of course, if you have your book, you need your pen. And we are going to turn to lesson 15. Has the picture of the tree. This is the one we tried to do yesterday and I realized it didn't match. So, oh, I didn't tell you the page number. Page 73. Page 73. It says lesson 15 at the top and it has the trees at the bottom. While you do that, I'm putting up my hair. Okay. All right. Do you have your pen ready on the first word of that line? Good job. All right, I'm going to say, you repeat. Nimble. Tremble. Pebble. Bramble. Good. All right. Now you get to do the next line and I'm going to repeat. Scramble. Tumble. Scribble. And bumble. Great. All right. Remember, don't worry about your neighbors. Get those last 4 words said out loud. I want to hear you reading them, okay? Go. Okay, all eyes up here. 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Great job. Let me read those so you can tell if you got them correct when you were reading them. The first one is tumble, crumble, dribble, and fumble. Before we move on to our sentences, what do you notice about every single one of those words? They have our final syllable bull in there, B-L-E. So glad that we talked about that since it was in all those words, wasn't it? All right, let's look at our sentences. Get your pen, pencil, marker, whatever, ready to follow along and mark it if you hear something that you don't understand or know, okay? All right, repeat after me. Does Sam Trimble have a job at the steel mill? Great. It's kind of hard to do words like steal and mill together because you want to say steel meal or still mill. So we need to make sure we say our letter sounds. That EE is the E, steel, and in mill, that I is I, mill. Okay? So make sure you're doing those correctly. All right, read the next sentence. Lee was hanging from a tree and singing. Great. All right, let's read the last one all together. What's our first word? Jill, yes. Jill does not have a tree to swing from. Good. Now I said a tree. You can also say a tree. That's another word that, depending on who you are and what sentence it's in, you'll say it differently. Because on the first sentences, I said, does Sam Trimble have a job? And on that sentence, I said, Jill does not have a tree. So either way, it works. Okay. I'm going to give you guys just a couple of minutes to read your sentences at the bottom. You've got 3 sentences in our text today, so you totally can handle that. Go for it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody up here. All right, let me read those for you so you can hear the words that you might not have known or you weren't sure about. The brambles tore at Sam's leg as he ran in the woods. He was sure animals were after him. It was dark and Sam's mind made things sound dangerous. Have you guys ever been in a situation where maybe at night in your bedroom or walking around where your mind makes things seem worse than they are? It happens to me sometimes. You hear things and then your mind's playing tricks on you and you think it's not. You think it's something that it's not. All right. So go ahead and turn the page. What is the title of our story? Bees, Seed, and Beef. Great job. Okay, let's look at our questions first. Miss Jessica was remembering to do that today, so let's look at our questions first. And number 1 says, how did Sam feel about the bees? So we know we have a question about the bees, okay? Number 2, what did Sam use his crops for? Okay, so bees and crops are things I need to keep in my mind. And number 3, what did the bees do for the crops? We have bees for number 1, crops for number 2, and bees and crops for number 3. So all we have to deal with or think about while we're reading for our questions is bees and crops. That makes it so much easier. Okay, so this is another story that you guys can read together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a few minutes to read it. When you read, I do want you, when I say go, find a partner, and you guys are going to read paragraphs again. There's one super small paragraph, but it goes with a big paragraph. So, and then there's two paragraphs that are about the same. So you'll have about the same sentences. Nobody will be able to read a whole lot more. But, oh, you know what? Miss Jessica's is split into 4 paragraphs, and yours is only split into 3. So one person, person A, reads the first paragraph. Person B reads the second paragraph. And then you guys can share the third, or if one of you really wants to read it and the other person is okay, one of you can read it. But don't just tell your partner you're reading it, okay? Because if they want the reading practice, they need to have that reading practice too, okay? So you're going to find a partner, read one paragraph, your partner reads the other paragraph, and you get to choose how to read the third paragraph. You good? All right, find your partner and start reading. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody's focus needs to be back up here. If you didn't finish, it's okay. I'm going to read the story to you, and that way you can check those words you weren't sure about, and then we'll go over our questions. I might ask you some other questions in there too. We'll see. Are you ready? Make sure you have your pen on your story at the beginning. The bumblebees are speeding on top of the crops. Sam is happy to see the bees. Last year, the bees were nowhere to be seen, and Sam's crops failed to grow. Sam has lots of crops and beef on his land. He has leeks, yams, beets, and is seeding greens. Who knows what any of those are? A leek is kind of like an onion. A yam is a sweet potato. Beets, I actually have some in my kitchen. They are a bright red fruit, vegetable, not a fruit, a vegetable, and they grow underground. And then I'm not sure what seeding greens he's talking about. That could be a lot of different things. Okay, back to the story. The bees help Sam to keep the crops in pollen. If the bees are not there to spread the pollen, Sam may lose his farm. Sam is careful not to spray his crops with something that can kill the bees. Because he can't spray his crops, he has to spend each day weeding the crops and picking bugs off of them. He sprays some of the crops with dish soap. The dish soap will keep very small bugs away. If Sam stumbles on rocks, he bleeds from the tumble. If Sam steps on bees, they sting him and he grumbles. But he is glad they are there. Sam goes deep into the crops to keep grass from seeding and choking out the crops. He has to have a good crop this year. Beef need the crops for feed. So the cows need the crops for feed. And Sam needs to sell the rest of the crops to make the payment on his farm. Okay, so I do have a couple of questions that I want to ask you before we go to our questions at the bottom. How do you think dish soap keeps the bugs away? It can cover up the smell. It can like the smell of the plants, and all the bugs smell is the dish soap. I know sometimes if I have problems with fruit flies in my house, because all the fruit that I eat, I have to get a little cup with some apple cider vinegar and some dish soap in there, and they're attracted to the vinegar, and then they get stuck in the soap. So that's another thing. They can die from the soap. So if he sprays just a little bit on his crops, they'll stay away from it. Okay. Now, if Sam can't make the payment on the farm, he has to go. He has to go off the farm. Do you know anybody who's lost their home because they couldn't make a payment? It's really sad, isn't it? So it's really important for farmers to be able to have good crops. And sometimes they don't have control over that because it depends on the weather. So, okay, so let's look at our questions. Number 1, how did Sam feel about the bees? A, he didn't like to get stung, but he needed them. B, he sprayed the crops to get rid of them. Or C, the bees ruined his crops. A, he didn't like to get stung, but he needed them. Where does it tell us in the story that that's the case? Okay, so it tells us at the top, Sam is happy to see the bees, the second sentence in our story. And then it tells us that if the bees are not there, Sam may lose the farm at the very end of that paragraph. And then how do we know he doesn't like to get stung? It tells us that if he steps on bees, they sting him and he grumbles, but he's glad they are there. So 3 different spots for that question. Underline all of those and make sure you put your little 1 next to every one of those underlines. All right, let's look at number 2. What did Sam use his crops for? He fed his beef cattle. He sold all of his crops for money. Or he plowed them under after the summer. This is one of those tricky questions that test people would throw in there. He did feed his cattle and he did sell his crops, but did he sell all of his crops? No, he just sold some of his crops. So he used his crops to feed his cattle. Letter A. I know that one's a little tricky. You have to look at all of those little words and make sure you're reading all of those little words because those little words can trip you up, okay? Where does it tell us that in the story? Yep. Beef need the crops for feed. Everywhere it says beef, it really should say beef cattle, but it's the same thing, beef and cattle. All right, number 3. What did the bees do for the crops? They ate the flowers, they spread the pollen from flower to flower, or they stung anyone who came near them. What answer choice can we throw out right away? They stung people or anyone that came near them. Why? Because the question asks what bees do for crops. Okay, so what did they do? They spread pollen. Answer choice B. Where does it tell us that in the story? At the very top. If the bees are not there to spread pollen, they can lose this farm. So that we already underlined, and we put a 1 by it, but we can also put a 3 by it. Okay, guess what? We are done. So we did a lot today. We learned about that special final stable syllable, bull, B-L-E. We also read a story about Sam and his crops. We did some more alphabetizing. You guys are going to be pros at that. And I had so much fun with you today. I hope you did too, and I will see you next time. Bye.